Welcome everyone, I'm Pete.
I'm Johnny.
And this is the Players Only Club. We're going to be here every week providing reviews, previews and pretty much going over all of the gossip from in and around the English Premier League. And to kick us off this week, Chelsea, and more importantly, Jose Mourinho. Is there method in his madness?
Is there method in his madness? At this point, I don't think there's any method in his madness whatsoever.
Yeah.
So, I'm a Chelsea supporter. I'm going to divulge that. And I think that he's completely lost the plot. There's two players in particular, which everyone's talking about.
Yep.
And that's Fabregas and Ivanovic. And they're playing every single game. And we keep losing. And it's because we have two players who aren't up to it at the moment.
I would agree with that.
But the thing is what's really annoying me about it is that he thinks they're going to come good. And they may well come good. And if they do come good, then that's all fine. And if we make a title run towards the end of the season, we make a title run towards the end of the season. But the point is that if we have to make a title run at the end of the season, that's going to be difficult to do because of the points that we've already lost by playing these players. And we're not saying stop playing these players. We're not saying get rid of them. They're not ready for Chelsea anymore.
Yeah.
We're just saying sit them out, give them a sense of perspective, see what else we can do. And if no one else can do nothing else, then he can't be blamed. He can't be blamed for anything. So no one is performing. You say, he can motivate them, maybe. But ultimately, you've got to blame the team. But he has other options. He's choosing not to use them. He's playing the same team. We're getting beaten over and over again. And regardless of what he's done, if that keeps happening, what can you do? You can't. You've got to say, well, we've got to go with someone else because you're not taking the team forward anymore.
Good emotional opening gambit there, Johnny. No, I have to agree with you. And I was reading something the other day, and I tend to believe that because he's playing that same 11, regardless of the fact that you get a month off during the summer, he's running those players into the ground. That they're so far gone to a certain extent that you've got that nucleus of players that played pretty much every game last season. Your Fabregas, your Hazards, Costa, Terry, Ivanovic, that they're knackered. And they almost, and I know you're saying take them out of the team to get a bit of perspective, but they also need to get out of the team to take a break, recharge the batteries and kind of reassess. Right, okay, this is my role. You only have to look at Ivanovic this season to see that he almost doesn't know how to play right back anymore. And you're right. I mean, I'm not in favour of all the youth players coming through, but there's got to be some players, especially when you're not winning. It's fine. It's fine when you're winning and to say, okay, I don't want to unsettle the team. We're making a big title charge, but you're not winning, so why not gamble?
Yeah, well, it's true. Part of the problem last season was that we played the same 11 over and over again, and actually the title that we won was a little bit false in a way, ironically.
Oh, fake result.
Because we had all 11 players, apart from Diego Costa, who were fit every week for the entire season. Had Fabregas who dipped in form a little bit, but other than that, everyone was on top of their game. And if that happens, you'll win the league. Any of the top teams, if that happens, prime example is it's never happened to Arsenal, not for years anyway. And Arsenal could legitimately do it if all their players play on top form every week and never get injured. Yeah. But it doesn't happen, and it happened to Chelsea. And now this season, we haven't really had the injuries yet, but the form's definitely not there. But what happens is we've got no real good reserves. We've got options. We've got Ramirez and William's been pushed out. William being the best example, by the way, of sitting someone out and then coming back in. Pedro comes in.
He's been away taking his free kicks in practice.
Yeah. He knows how to whip in a free kick.
A deadly cross.
And I think he's got 4 goals this season already, which I believe is exactly the same amount he got all of last season, having played pretty much every game of last season. And to be fair, they're quite lucky.
They're all dead balls.
Quite lucky. Well, 3 of them are quite lucky actually. In fact, no, one of them was a good free kick, wasn't it?
In the Champions League. Yeah.
But the rest were all crosses that went straight in. So you can argue that's not really a valid point, I suppose.
So what about all the players that you've got out on loan? Are there any of those players at any use? I mean, you got rid of. 2 seasons ago, you got rid of De Bruyne. And now he's just turned back up in the Premier League and setting the world alight. almost.
If you look at some of the players that we've let go in recent years and how they're doing in the Premier League in particular, you've got Juan Mata, who I'm still devastated that he left. I think a lot of Chelsea fans are. Yeah. De Bruyne, who is showing to be a very, very good player. And, and he was showing to be a very good player at Chelsea, and we never should have let him go.
I thought he was brilliant in that first game. Was it West Brom that you were 4-0 up at half-time?
Yeah, exactly. Had him in the fantasy team and got an assist. So, and it was the only game he played for Chelsea, I think.
Yeah.
And we got what we talking
haven't you got the best youth team in the country as well?
We've got the best youth team, yeah. So we've got Loftus-Cheek being the main one.
Yeah.
Who we've played, in like 2 games, and he's played like phenomenally well in both games, and somehow that doesn't justify him a starting place, even though we've got players like Fabregas who don't deserve a starting place at the moment.
I don't even look like they care. I mean, then you've got someone like Matic. I still think that was a crazy selection to leave him out in the first place. Southampton, you look at the way that they set up against pretty much any team, home or away, is let's keep a solid base and hit everyone on the counter with the electric pace that they've got. And to not have a holding midfielder, knowing that Fabregas, okay, you're putting all of your love and everything into Fabregas. Right, I spent 35 million on you last summer. You're my guy. You pretty much helped win me the title last season. So I'm going to put my faith in you. Even though I know you're not playing well, you need a guy next to him that's going to almost pull him through those games. And Ramirez isn't that guy at the minute.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, if you analyse it like that and you say, well, Matic isn't playing well, but we need someone in there, so you can justify Matic being in there. You can't justify Fabregas being in there. Like, you just can't justify it at the moment. So, and then you've got this Loftus-Cheek. So, everyone at Chelsea wants him to play now. So again, Mourinho's not going to be blamed for playing him and him not doing well, because everyone's going to be like, oh, quite good.
Yeah, I mean, Loftus-Cheek can't fail, but he's also in a situation where he almost can't win, because he's kind of like, okay, well, you're only getting a game because everyone else is playing crap.
Yeah.
Is he actually in the team on merit?
Really, yeah.
It's kind of like, oh, well, you're only sticking me in because that guy's rubbish.
Yeah, sure. And I think that is part of the problem, is that if he comes in and we start to pick up and he is part of it, he's not going to be rewarded for it, because what really we want to happen, even Chelsea supporters probably agree, is we want to get the team ticking again and then throw Fabregas right back in, because when Fabregas is in a ticking team and he's the main man, that's when you win a title, because that's how good he is.
It's almost like the Romero at Man United. I mean, obviously he made a terrible mistake at Swansea, but as soon as De Gea was ready to play again, the guy didn't stand a chance.
And I mean, in many ways, that what we're saying, go sort of almost circle back, is that we've got these players who know they're in the team, and so then maybe they're not actually performing. Well,
because they think they can turn up on a Saturday and they're going to.
Yeah, because there's two parts to it. Number one is that it sort of started last season, and we go back to the players we've lost, like De Bruyne, Schürrle, Mata, even Moses, who's doing well. I don't like Moses personally, but he's doing quite well. We don't have a decent substitute bench, a really good substitute bench, because we played the same 11 players, and players weren't even getting like 20 minutes. They weren't getting any of it.
Oh, Cuadrado's set the world on fire in Juventus.
Exactly, and that was it. I mean, again, I didn't really like Cuadrado, to be fair, but we just never played him. We gave him like 10 minutes and expected him, I don't know what we expected.
It was a purchase out of necessity.
Yeah, and so we've got no amazing substitutes to use, so that's part of the problem. And then you've also got the fact that these players like Costa, we bought Falcao in. Costa's going in the team. We know Costa's going in the team, just regardless. Even if Falcao would have to really turn it on, like really turn it on. And
Costa's back next game though.
Costa is probably still going back in. And I think.
Is there room for both of them to play? Is there room for a formation change?
Well, they could. I mean, like I said, both of them would have to turn it on.
I mean, you're playing so narrow at the minute anyway. What would be the harm in playing a diamond formation?
Yeah, sure. I think they're the type of players, they almost play. Well, I don't know if they do play in the same way. Actually, they could possibly work. I think Costa's far more of a direct player than people think. I think he runs in behind a lot more. I think Falcao's more of a Benteke, if you will, a header, one guy. He scores a lot of headers, and we don't really play that way. So actually, maybe we could adapt it to a point where it's flick on for Costa basically.
Okay.
But I don't think that will happen.
No. I've lost my train of thought. I was gonna. Oh, would you? Yeah, that was to say. Would you say there is? I kind of coming into my head is like you look at all these players that are playing every game, and obviously there's been, the stupid rumours going around. Oh, Ivanovic has been with Mourinho's daughter, or say those stupid ones. Yeah. But is there a sense, and you never suggest it with Mourinho, but is there potentially a case of at Chelsea there is actually a bit of player power? I mean, there always will be of John Terry because he is Chelsea through and through. It's been there since day dot. But even now, these new players. Is it a sense of the mentality is changing? As in Mourinho's losing the dressing room a little bit, and all these players are, well, you won't drop me kind of thing.
Yeah. What? So were you suggesting that maybe he doesn't have the bottle to drop Ivanovic?
Yeah.
Or because I would look at it almost the other way around. In fact, that he might have lost certain people in the dressing room, and Ivanovic is maybe his last remaining trusted ally, so he's going to keep playing him. But I mean, we haven't really spoke about Ivanovic, the Ivanovic thing is crazy.
I don't understand how he's playing everywhere.
I mean, again, it's the same thing as I said earlier. It's too late now. The damage has been done. He might play again. Hopefully, he will start to play well again. I'm sure he will. But we can't just wait for that to happen because we've already lost too many points.
You've got £21 million worth of left back on the bench.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know. That seems like there's something going on in terms of Mourinho's not happy at this point but why is he throwing?
Who's buying the players at Chelsea? Is Mourinho buying the players? Because I mean, I understand. I remember you saying him having a list of players that he came to at the end of April or whenever.
Yeah, supposedly that was the
case. But if Abramovich isn't giving them to him, why is Mourinho staying? Why is Mourinho signing a new contract?
Is he so self-centered that he is actually trying to sabotage it so he can get a payout instead of resigning, which even for Mourinho you'd think was
low.
Beyond
a little low
for Mourinho,
but you almost think that he has got it in him. Like you watch all his press conferences these days, and you almost think, is that his mentality now? I mean, I put something on Twitter the other day, and he obviously calls Wenger and everyone a specialist in failure.
Yeah.
So is he now the specialist in delusion? Like, has he completely lost the plot?
Well, maybe he has. I mean, the thing with Ivanovic is now teams know where our weak point is.
Yeah.
So it's like even if they don't play well or they have an attacker who's not that good, he's going up against this player who they know
who's almost shot, like he's got the footballing yips.
So we're making their left midfielder a better player from the get. It's honestly, it's the equivalent of going into a fight with a broken rib and saying to the person, by the way, I've got a broken rib. Like, don't target that if that's all right. I'm obviously going to target the rib. Yeah. And like that is just a crazy thing to do. You'd just be like, you would never let that happen. So I don't know what he's thinking at the moment, and my best guess is more towards the level of him thinking to sabotage, rather than that he's got some master plan that's going to unravel.
Final view: Mourinho in or Mourinho out?
Well, I think Mourinho in, but only for the very near future. I wouldn't give him too many more games if he keeps playing the same team. If the team changes and the results don't change, then we can reassess. If the team changes and we do well, then it all goes away.
Yeah.
If the team doesn't change, we don't do well, 2 or 3 more games, and you just got to say, listen.
Before the November internationals, do a Liverpool change it up during the international break.
Well, maybe. I mean, can't
give him 2 weeks to work with Falcao.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to come a point very soon where we say, despite what you've done, you're not moving us forward. You're actually now moving us back. And thanks very much for everything you've done, but if you're not willing to acknowledge your shortcomings, then we'll have to acknowledge them for you. And bye-bye Mourinho, from a Chelsea fan, this guy.
That guy. Moving on.
Yeah.
before there's tears. Obviously, the biggest winners of the weekend, in footballing terms, not in obviously results terms, you'd probably say are Arsenal.
Yeah.
First big challenge. One of the biggest challenges this season. Obviously not first big challenge. Biggest challenge probably trying to beat Chelsea or even scoring at Chelsea. 3-0 against Man United. Blew them away in 20 minutes. Alexis Sanchez is back. Is he back? And can Arsenal, mount a title challenge? Arsenal fan.
Well, touched on it briefly a second ago. Firstly, definitely can mount the title challenge. Always have been able to, pretty much. Maybe a couple of years ago.
I think we're slightly better equipped this season.
But the players you have, and you saw it against Man United. If you do that every week, you will win the league.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. But obviously, there's big question marks.
That would be beautiful being 3-0 up after 20 minutes every week.
And I think when you say is Sanchez back, I don't think Sanchez really ever went. I think honestly, when you watch him play, he still has that little level, like the step up.
Yeah, I mean there was certain times against some of the bigger teams last season where, like against Chelsea for example, against Liverpool, it just for some reason he wasn't dominating teams like he did at the weekend.
Yeah, his goal scoring record wasn't fantastic, was it? Towards the end of last season.
Yeah, four goals in his previous 21.
Yeah,
before the Leicester game.
And now he's got what?
5 and 2.
5 in his last 2.
Or 6 and 3 if you want to count the Champions League.
Yeah, but he's always been and despite that he seems to be a consistent performer. I would say he's one of the more consistent performers.
Yeah.
And he's added so much to Arsenal. He's basically that little world-class touch.
Yeah. The difference with Alexis is obviously he's more. If you're going to put him into like one of the two brackets, you're going to put him obviously not at their level, but if you put him in the Ronaldo and Messi bracket, he's definitely more a Ronaldo type player, or Ronaldo was a couple of years ago, where it's either he's not going to he'll not necessarily help the team win the game, because I sometimes think that he's a bit heavy-handed in his football.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he will grab the game by the scruff of the neck, do something brilliant, and win the game.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, that's exactly the type of player he is.
Yeah.
And arguably that's what Arsenal needed for quite a long time.
Absolutely. Someone to grab the ball by the horns. Not, let's all play nice football, and if we win, that's brilliant. And someone just go, no, I actually want to win this game.
Yeah,
Give me the ball.
You lose the ball, and he'll chase all the way down the other end of the pitch to get back, which can be. You say
Nacho's come on leaps and bounds, and Nacho did have a great season last season, but you've got to be said he's got great protection in front of him from Sanchez. No other player. You play Oxlade-Chamberlain out the left, you play Walcott out on the left, you play Cazorla out on the left, Ozil out on the left as well. The guy's been left open, and he almost ends up looking like Ivanovic.
Because there's no protection.
Yeah.
That's true. But I think, having said that, let's move to the other side of the pitch. You've got Bellerin, who I think does get left unprotected, even though Ramsey often plays there, who should protect him quite well. It's
almost not that he gets left alone. Ramsey cuts inside a lot, and you could see from the average positions that in like the first half an hour against Manchester United, that obviously the back four, Monreal, Gabriel and Mertesacker are all fairly in a decent line, and Bellerin's halfway inside their half.
Yeah.
Bellerin is right wing and right back. I think Arsenal have set up to say, okay, Hector, you can bomb forward, but you've got to have that engine and obviously show your pace to be able to get back as well.
Yeah, well, I think that's the case because you haven't got an out-and-out right winger.
No. So, well, we probably have. We're just not playing him because, in theory, Ramsey is the better player.
And yeah, exactly. So Ramsey's not going to be just hugging that touchline and going back and forth.
Absolutely not.
That's what Bellerin's going to do, and he's obviously been brilliant at that. And it's a weapon in the Arsenal's arsenal. that you can have that, because it's almost like you've got 4 defenders and then 7 attackers.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah. But obviously what I was saying is that the trouble with Ramsey is that and we were saying this a while ago, the interesting thing about him is that season where he scored loads of goals was almost, in a way, a bad thing for him.
Yeah.
Because he's a good player, don't get me wrong, I think he's a great player, but he's so desperate to replicate that season.
Yeah. He's gone back to he's gone back to the trying too hard.
Yeah, exactly. So if he'll cover Bellerin, but he'll do it from being on the left-hand side of the pitch at the top, and he'll be like, "Oh, I need to cover," so he'll run all the way back, and people are thinking, "Well, what are you doing over there? That's not where you're supposed to be." And in a way, it's good because you've got this outlet and attack that it's like, "Well, where's he's their right winger and me? What am I doing marking him?" But then in the other sense, if that hasn't affected anyone, you've got this big gap where he's just nowhere to be found.
I think the only good thing is at the minute, because we're so mobile, and I think the difference between us and Man United is that mobility. So you look at Man United and they've got Mata, that is cutting in off the right and leaving Nacho Monreal with absolutely nothing to do for half the game.
Yeah.
Darmian, who he started the season well, but he's 8 games into his Premier League career, and he's come and he's got Alexis Sanchez and Monreal on the overlap, which I think we do quite well to deal with. Didn't stand a chance. Whereas we defend so high up on the pitch that if Ramsey's in the middle, what will happen is Walcott will go out right, or whoever everyone will kind of spread across, or Ozil will step up into the middle and Walcott, and it will allow players like Ramsey, who is probably the most mobile of all of our players, to really get himself back into position, or okay, all right, I'll take this man for the minute.
Yeah. So would you say, as an Arsenal supporter, not do you think you can, but do you think you will win the league this year?
Do I think we'll win the league this year? I think it's interesting, is also if you compare it to Chelsea, obviously we've gone on about Mourinho. We didn't really touch on him wanting players or not getting players that much.
Yeah.
But he did get a couple of outfield players. Arsenal haven't bought a single one.
Yes, that's true.
But at the same time, I feel like our side has improved. I mean, obviously you can talk about, the classic Abu Diaby's a new signing because he's come back from injury. Theo Walcott is almost like a new signing up the middle.
Well, it is very true.
And I think he offers a massively different dimension to Giroud, especially considering Giroud is possibly in the worst blip of his Arsenal career in terms of confidence and quality. I mean, and I don't know if that's because he's feeling a little bit knocked because he's lost his place in the team. Do I think we will win the league? If City, as everyone is kind of saying, are trying to mount a serious charge on the Champions League and they progress, we'll win the league. If City are trying to hedge their bets and they keep all their players fit, because at the minute they're the ones struggling with injuries, because they've got injuries all the way through their spine. If they keep their players fit, I think City will win the league.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, having Theo Walcott there is rejuvenated the side. Ozil, Sanchez, Walcott, devastating when they click.
Yeah.
Sanchez is good out wide. If he scores all the goals again this season, that'll be good. Walcott's not Aguero though.
Yeah, because I think it's interesting because it's Man City have shown their weakness now. They're going to pick up these losses randomly. 4-1 to Spurs is like... they were unlucky, to be fair, in terms like 2 or 3 of them were like offside.
Their goal was offside though.
But their goal was offside, so they only lost 2-0 or whatever.
But they absolutely deserve to lose as well though.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they were just... that's the thing, the City... you almost get the City of last season that turn up and go, that's not Man City.
Yeah.
Like, who is that? And whereas you want the City that's, turn up, even like in the first half an hour against Newcastle, just like...
Yeah, no, yeah, it's true, yeah.
Like, they were getting bullied, overrun. The same as Chelsea were, in fact. Newcastle came out, hit them on the front foot. Which is what Arsenal are doing. But obviously we've got that quality where we're scoring goals. Southampton overrun them, only scored 1 goal. They had a massive chance as well to make it 2-0. But that's, I think Arsenal have got the quality to do that. Hopefully we can go to teams like City. Hopefully all their players are injured.
Well, that's the one, isn't it?
And I think that's potentially where the league will be won or lost. We're going to lose games stupidly, same as City are. I don't think Chelsea are going to come back into it. I don't think Man United will keep it. Leicester and West Ham, well,
strong
title contenders.
No.
Palace as well, but I think the games will be won between Arsenal and City at the Etihad and the Emirates. I think they're big 6-pointers.
Yeah, I think ultimately I can't see Arsenal winning it for the fact that City have already had a couple of injuries. They've already shown they're not the same player without Silva in the team and without Company in their team.
Mm-hmm.
So they're already struggling, but they're still top of the table.
By 2 points.
By 2 points, yeah. But Arsenal haven't yet had the injuries. And
Jack Wilshere.
Jack will, yeah. I mean, I think that's good for Arsenal personally. But
Coquelin missed a game.
well, didn't that show?
Koscielny's injured. Koscielny's
He
injured.
missed?
He missed the Olympiacos game.
Did you win that game?
No, we lost.
No, yeah. Because I feel like you'll get to a point, yeah. Hopefully, for your sake, it won't happen. You'll get a ravaged little time when you don't have the players you need. Then you're going to struggle.
Please don't say that.
And also, let's not forget, you managed to lose to Chelsea as well, which is a very modern Arsenal thing to do.
Well,
I mean,
Mike Dean beat us.
Yeah, it was true, but it's almost symptomatic of Arsenal's
it's just that's the standard thing.
You've got a Chelsea who you've beaten already, and was actually an early sign of just how bad we were going to be this season. We didn't
never really thought about that, did we? We had a terrible pre-season.
Yeah, exactly. and City came up against us, smashed us. We're in terrible form. I never once thought that because we beat you, we were back, and we've been smashed all over the place since. And yet we've got this one game in there where Arsenal managed to lose to us, and it's huge.
Only team not to score at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah. So I still think Arsenal have that little Achilles heel, where there's no real Achilles heel. It's just certain games, and you don't do it, and that's not what old Arsenal used to be like. It's more.
Hopefully that will be pivotal. Hopefully those will be minor games.
Yeah, well, at the end of the season.
Those cold Wednesday nights in Stoke.
But yeah, but so if we go to Manchester United, back to the game a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't think Manchester United have?
I was at the game. Fortunate enough to be a season ticket holder. I was at the game, and it might be partly down to Van Gaal's team selection, which I question most times, especially when you're playing people like Ashley Young at left back against such a dominant, pressing team. But they had the majority of possession. They had like 62% possession, which is crazy at the Emirates.
Yeah, that's true.
But they did nothing with it. There was no penetration. There was no movement. Mata was obviously the only one that kind of drifted from position. Carrick and Schweinsteiger in the centre of the pitch, both over 30, both got overrun. I mean, you couldn't have estimated how good Walcott was. Best game in an Arsenal shirt I think he's ever had, just from an all-round perspective. He was, any time Schweinsteiger dallied on the ball in the middle of the park, Walcott was on him.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even say we played, coming out of the back, we played some classic Arsenal stuff, trying to play out of the back. And even then, they were winning the ball back in the final third of the pitch, and they were still not punishing us. They got in twice. Good turn from Martial and a good save from Cech, and bad first touch from Schweinsteiger.
Yeah.
I saw a little wince at Cech.
Yeah.
Would you still be in games if you still had Cech? Or do you think that Begovic's?
Well, you can't say a bad thing about Begovic really. Apart from the fact he's conceded a phenomenal amount of goals. You feel really sorry for him because it's not really. I wouldn't say it was his fault.
But do you think that Cech had that? I mean, obviously Courtois was in there last season, so it shouldn't really make a difference. But do you think, although John Terry is organising that back four, do you think everyone still felt safe with Cech behind?
No, yeah, I think with the resurgence of Cech at Arsenal, you remember just how good he is. And I don't think Courtois is a better goalkeeper than Cech. I think they're on par, and fair enough, Courtois is younger, so we've got to take it. Wasn't that to the future?
Yeah.
But
isn't that again player power? I just think, and the guy's 21.
Yeah.
His whole future ahead of him.
Yeah, but
goalkeepers playing to they're 75 these days.
But he does. I think he controls, especially when the ball starts coming over the top. I think he starts to control it, and I think he's made a massive difference to Arsenal already, without having to make huge saves. Although he did make a huge save from Martial, I thought that was a brilliant save. Some would say he sort of just spread himself. But
Did go the wrong way.
I think, a big leg,
Yeah.
big leg of check. But what I thought was interesting about that game is that I thought that Carrick and Schweinsteiger simply didn't play very well.
No, Carrick normally is it's almost like the Pirlo.
Yeah,
he controls the tempo.
Are a better team when Carrick's in the team, and
he was
playing well. But I think a lot of people say, well, Arsenal made them look bad, which definitely was true. But I don't think I think it was more that Arsenal punished them for them not playing well.
Yeah.
The best example I saw was the Santi Cazorla header over Schweinsteiger to set himself up for that volley. And Schweinsteiger's come running out, and he's
nowhere near the ball.
Cazorla's head height. So I don't know what he's thinking he's going to do there, because he's going to have to do a flying header to stoop to his level to win the ball, which he's never going to do.
And what's also Cazorla going to do with the header?
Well, exactly.
Apart from try and control it.
So he's obviously not quite with it in that game. He wasn't making the right decisions. And I do think Man United are actually a very good team because of those two players specifically. I think Schneiderlin is a fantastic third option to have there as well. Yeah. And I think that while they're quite boring at the moment because they pass it a lot and quite slowly and they're not really very direct, they do have they have arguably three of the best central holding midfielders.
I will absolutely agree with you on that.
And I think that you can argue that they're the most important players on the pitch.
But the problem is, I think that the team selection is 99% of it all the way around is wrong. I mean, Chris Smalling, I will actually give credit to. I actually thought Chris Smalling used to be terrible, and he still has got a Chris Smalling in him.
I can just say one thing on that. I just want to say, even if he turns out to be brilliant, a bit the same with Ivanovic and stuff. Even if he turns out to be brilliant, he had an entire season to prove himself to be good enough. He failed to do it. I don't really care what he does from here on out. He failed to prove himself. I actually do think he's been playing all right, but
he's been playing really well. I thought he was one of their best players against us.
He got probably a season and a half to prove that he was up to it, and he didn't do it.
Yeah.
But
now they're sticking, 5'0" Daley Blind next to him, a centre half. I mean, I don't know if he's just watching too much Barcelona and thinks, well, Mascherano can do it.
Well,
a completely different game in Spain. But that's also that. Isn't it Van Gaal's thing? He has to have a left-footed player at left centre half. So he'll almost refuse to play Smalling and Jones next to each other because they're both right-footed.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know what the issue is playing Ashley Young at left back. And you've got a player that we like Marcus Rojo. I don't know, is he still injured or is he
still injured?
Because apparently I thought they've had another falling out and he's going to be sold in January.
Oh, is he? Yeah, he's not very
good. But just but you've got players there. Well, play Daley Blind. You've got Phil Jones, who I think always plays quite well against Arsenal. He's got that British determination, win at all costs kind of thing, epitomised with that outrageous diving ground header.
But he's only just come back from injury, to be fair, so it would have been a risk.
It's a centre half and it's play Ashley Young at left back. I know he's been doing it, but it was more wing back that he was actually excelling at because he can get forward. And then second half, they brought Fellaini on, and Fellaini ended up playing out on the wings. Yeah. Wasn't in the box for anything, which I thought was absolutely. I was like, every time I saw the ball go up wide for United, Matic had cut inside. Fellaini was out in the right wing, and I was like, perfect. Stick another ball in the box. Yeah. Martial doesn't look like he's going to want to header much.
Above, yeah.
Rooney's still stuck out on the left wing now. Rooney's doing nothing over there. Playing holding midfielder, and it almost called for Herrera.
Yeah.
Herrera,
well, I don't know why
someone to go in between the lines, someone just to press the game on for them a little bit, because they were just everything was just all in front of Arsenal, and that's when. Obviously, it would be the same for every other team, but I don't think teams are going to break us down by doing everything in front of us, because we're quite good and we're quite good at being a nice compact team. It's when players like your Chelsea's or Hazard's darting in behind and all those little ones where that's when we start going. Everyone starts turning around and not having a clue where they are. Yeah, exactly. Which is Arsenal's fatal flaw in forgetting where they are at any certain point.
In many ways, Arsenal's or United's play suits Arsenal because it is slow and it's,
play them every week.
And maybe actually that result was fairly obvious. But I mean, you know, when Schweinsteiger and Carrick aren't playing well, bring Schneiderlin on. It's not necessarily going to change everything, and bring Herrera on. You know, that's just the basics. You know, and he's been rotating those three, in fact. Schneiderlin, Schweinsteiger, and Carrick have been rotating like clockwork.
Yeah.
Suddenly, two of them don't play well. He doesn't rotate them. That's really weird. Maybe did rotate them. Maybe I missed that. I think they both played 90 minutes. We'll cut that bit. Well, it turns out that he came on in like the 60th.
Oh no! What, Schneiderlin didn't come on at the weekend? No, because he bought Fellaini and Valencia on at half time, and took was it? Well, I don't know whoever he took on. He took on someone for Wilson, maybe Mata.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what that was a stupid substitution as well.
Yeah, that was quite a random one.
James Wilson on the right. I mean, you got a good little bit of who are you?
Yeah.
From the Arsenal faithful. But United. I mean, I know they spent £36 billion on Martial, but you know he's not going to give any time to develop. Be given any time to develop properly, because he's been stuck in the first team. That's him done. You know, it's almost going to make him or break him. First couple of games you'd say make him. Last couple of games you'd probably say break him, because apart from that one chance against us, I haven't really seen him do anything.
No, well, they can't really afford to take.
You can't be relying on a 19-year-old though.
No. No, you can't. At this point, it looks like they're going to play him 90 minutes every single game.
Well, because they've got no choice.
They need him running in behind.
Because
Rooney refuses.
What I don't get is you've got a player that's 19 that's come through the youth system, cost you zil, and all of a sudden you bought a kid that's got no record to speak of, and you've paid 36 million. I'd have just taken a punt on Wilson.
Yeah.
You know, if you're talking about Wilson's not ready. This guy's only this guy. Okay, yeah, he played 52 games last season, but in League One, which is the same as the Championship. apart from PSG up the top. Well, PSG are brilliant. They're better than another league of their own. Yeah. I mean, they're already 6 or 7 points clear at the top of the league anyway this season.
No, yeah, I agree that I think if you're going to buy a 19-year-old and not play Wilson, at least get rid of Wilson.
But stick him out on loan. He's never going to play. Rotate Rooney and Martial out front. And then you've got so many players to play in and around them and behind them. I mean, you need Depay playing well.
Well, I would move Depay maybe up front for a little bit, because I think he actually played there a bit more.
Well, yeah, he's playing through the. He played through the middle. Yeah. So it's the only reason he's scoring that many goals.
And I think if he got a few goals, then that would up his confidence as well. And maybe you'd see a better performance from him if you did want to move him back out to the wing. So that would sort of be my solution if I was Van Gaal. But you don't know what's going on behind you and what he's saying to them, do you? That's the problem with all these sort of things.
Martial's probably just banging in 25 overhead kicks in training.
Well, exactly. It literally could be that. It's like they can't handle Martial, and so even if he plays terrible...
But then again, he is up against Smalling and Blind every week in training.
I'm surprised he hasn't got a broken leg yet. Jones back.
Jones has got a broken skull.
Yeah, I think they're... I do think they're a good team, actually, United, and I think they're going to get better. But there's going to be the bigger teams. I think are going to be too comfortable against their sort of slow play.
Yeah, they almost bore the lower league team, the lower level teams into.
Yeah, they do. That is how they play. They just eventually there's going to be, if you keep the ball for 10 minutes, there'll be a lapse in concentration.
Yeah,
and then
that's when
which is a good tactic, I suppose. But I think it will come undone against the. Like you did against Arsenal.
I'll tell you what,
that will happen a lot.
I definitely wouldn't be paying Arsenal season ticket price to go and see that every week.
No. Yeah, well, exactly.
There's no cut and thrust about it.
Get on your back, especially United fans. But someone like City. So if we move on to City,
keep it in Manchester.
Yeah. With the emergence of De Bruyne.
Did you not get the video on how to pronounce all the
De
Bruyne? I'd still love that all the commentators apparently got sent a video, like a DVD of all like the new players or all players that had like strange pronunciations to their name, of a video with the player specifically pronouncing their name.
De Bruyne. De Bruyne.
Kevin De Bruyne. That's it. Let's move on.
That's it. We'll move to De Bruyne. De Bruyne, Silva, Aguero. they, particularly on the weekend, look like they could be a real force. I think Aguero got 5, De Bruyne got 1 and 2 assists.
Yep.
Silva got 2 assists. So
if you compare those 3 to Sanchez, Ozil, Walcott, there is, not through all of them, because I mean Ozil's still yet to be consistent as he was at Real Madrid, although he does. Although you could blame the rest of his teammates because he still does create the most chances in the league.
He does some. I mean, I'm not sure what constitutes creating a chance. Let's just put that there. But
you brought up on that one. But if you go by those 3 in the Premier League, you could probably say that your Silva, Aguero, De Bruyne is, especially in the striking department, is a slight level up. And
yeah, I would say you'd probably take out of them. You'd take Silva, Aguero, and Sanchez.
Yeah.
But I think De Bruyne.
You'll get it right one day.
He's currently actually underrated. I think people know he's a good player. I don't think they realise just how good he is. I think he is actually right up there. Because I think technically he's as good as anyone. And
yep,
I think
I'll agree.
In his hand-eye coordination, as in you ping a ball 60 yards to him, he'll take it down as if it was pinged from 2 yards away.
Yeah. And
so his shooting is on point pretty much all the time. And I think he's very, very, very clever.
I think the good thing with De Bruyne is that he's come into a team that's also been broken up with injuries.
Yeah.
And he's still trying to work out where all the players are playing. Aguero's not been firing. Yet he's got 3 goals and 2 assists.
Yeah.
So how good is he? To be able to just fall into a team and just knock them in, straight away, in a team that you don't know who the next guy is going to be playing next to you in the next game. You've got Jesus Navas on the right hand side, who is the most ineffectual player in the Premier League. You've got Raheem Sterling.
Final third, anyway.
You've got Raheem Sterling on the left hand side, who is being shown he is not on that level yet.
No, yeah, he's not. He's definitely good, but that is the point. That is a step up.
It's like when you're sticking next to Coutinho, you think, well, Sterling's brilliant, but at the same time, Coutinho is still yet to really find that consistent high level.
Yeah.
And they all say that he's one of the players that Liverpool have, really shone in terms of their signings. But I still yet to be right. Coutinho's a world beater now. He's in. He's settled.
Yeah.
But Sterling is really being shown to be a complete level below. And I'm not sure he's got the footballing brain to have it in him. No. He's never going to see the passes that Silva sees.
No, I think you're right. I think there's one way to look at it as in he's in the perfect place. He's probably going to be in that team. Navas could potentially take his place. But like you say, he's so bad at crossing and stuff that it's going to be a long time before they say, oh, Sterling's even
It's worse than Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Yeah. So he's going to learn from them guys. So that's fantastic for him. But also he could be he's already a £50 million signing. So he wants to be one of those guys right now. And if he starts to realise he isn't, then it might never happen for him. No. And to be honest with you, I don't see too many differences from when Aaron Lennon had a good season. He probably scores a few more goals than Lennon, to be fair. But you watch them, and what they've got is quite quick.
Bags of pace.
That's it.
No, it's the footballing brain. It's knowing when to pass, what pass to play. His weight of pass is terrible.
Yeah.
And his shooting is passing, as far as I'm concerned. You go back, was it last season against Man United? We had 3 gilt-edged chances in 5 minutes.
Especially on his left foot. He'll just tap it towards the goalkeeper.
It's terrible.
Which
makes me sad that I'm not a professional. If professionals are out there doing that.
Yeah, surely.
£50 million worth of player, and I can shoot better than him.
Shoot better than him. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I can shoot better.
He's probably quicker than me, but.
Yeah, I credit where credit's due. He did. He made a good start to the season, and City looks better for him being in the team.
Oh, no, absolutely.
He made a lot of good runs, but I think with De Bruyne coming in, you start to realise that there's another level.
Are they going to start playing a slightly different formation? Do you think? Because De Bruyne and Silva are really through the middle, or is De Bruyne going to take the number 10, maybe push Sterling out right and Silva play there.
Well,
They do what you want off the left, or
Yeah,
or would you play Silva out on the right? And depends which fullback you've really got the most faith in, isn't it? Really?
yeah, because I wouldn't. I would stick with their. You've got Fernandinho and Yaya Toure. When they're fit, they're actually both perfect in that.
Great,
in that place.
great in the central position.
And then De Bruyne would probably rather be in number 10, but he's good enough to play on the right wing or left wing.
Yeah.
And then you put Sterling or Navas in. I would actually be tempted to do a diamond formation, and I'd play Fernandinho, and then you'd have Toure, Silva, and De Bruyne all as like free roaming midfielders basically. And then you'd play Aguero up top, and you could play Bony, but you could also play Sterling as a sort of free roaming striker, which I think would actually suit him quite well. I think he would probably quite.
I don't think he's a very good inverted winger off the left. I mean,
Well,
I know
no.
because the problem, my problem with playing inverted wingers, and it all starts from Arjen Robben actually, is the fact that a good inverted winger has still got to be able to get to the byline. And the only player that really does it, and Sanchez doesn't do it, the only player that really does it is Hazard.
Yeah.
But Hazard doesn't get to the byline and cross it.
No.
Hazard gets to the byline, turns all the way around and comes back. Like he's run down a dead end.
Yeah. The only player in the Premier League doing that brilliantly at the moment is Montero for Swansea. That's how you get to the byline and you just dink it in. He does that all day long.
Yeah, you don't have to thrash it across or whatever. Just put it into a decent area.
Yeah.
And you'll win. But is Aguero going to start scoring all of the goals?
Well, let's just say something about Aguero. To anyone who captained Aguero against Newcastle, that is so
anyone
annoying.
that triple captained Aguero against
Because
Newcastle.
I know what you were thinking or what you'd seen previously, but he was quite possibly in the worst form of his life.
Absolutely.
Like, we've never seen Aguero.
He'd have got into the Chelsea team.
Score. He would have got into the Chelsea team. It was basically against Tottenham, who he scored like 9 goals in 3 games against. And then they go to there, he misses a couple chances, doesn't play well, and they lose 4-1. And so you've got to. I mean, I was very tempted to take him out, but
I was on the verge of transferring him out as well.
It's Aguero, so I think a lot of people
It's
probably
too
have
much
the same
money.
mindset.
Costs too
They were
much
like,
money.
Yeah, let's keep him in because we know he is probably going to start
And
scoring.
also at the minute, you take that much money out of your team, you've got nowhere to spend it because everyone else is playing turd
exactly.
as it is.
That's true. There's no good strikers out there at the moment.
And Hazard's rubbish.
Aguero, yeah. Aguero, well, if you put it on Sanchez, but then if you had Sanchez before, like I did.
Like I did as well.
Yeah. But it was, if you think just because it was Newcastle, it doesn't mean he was going to score loads of goals because...
Plus Newcastle are off the back of a great result as well.
Everyone. Yeah. It shouldn't matter who Aguero's played. His favourite team seems to be Tottenham and United, who are the 2 better teams in the league. So the idea that he's playing a rubbish team does not mean that he's going to score loads of goals. And so it's really annoying that, of course, everyone who was like, oh, he's playing Newcastle, of course I'm going to captain him. And then he went and scored 5 goals. And you're like, oh. Super.
Just be glad that he was in your team at all.
Yeah.
Some people didn't even have that
taken him
beauty.
Out, which you could well have done, if I had taken him out in that
25
game,
points.
I'd be fuming.
You'd be sitting even worse than mid-table.
But I think, he's going to... Now he's got a taste for it. You'd expect him to go on a run, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Keeping it within the realms of the top 4. And the outside, the dark horse. Well, even the darkest horse of them all, I suppose. I mean, you've got your Leicester and you've got West Ham. You know, Leicester have lost 1 game all season. They're beating everyone. West Ham proving their mettle against the big teams.
Yeah.
You know, the first team to beat Liverpool City and Arsenal away for 30 years or something stupid.
Yeah.
Crystal Palace. How is it? Is it the players, or how much is it the manager that have put them in that position?
Well, I mean, obviously you've got to give credit to Pardew for the signing of Cabaye.
I think Pardew's a much better manager than everyone thinks. I mean, he got Newcastle into Europe.
Yeah, and I think people are realising how good a job that was now.
Yeah,
because they're
considering how badly Newcastle is run from a business perspective.
Yeah,
you know, he was doing wonders. I mean, I think his hands were fairly tied in terms of the selling of Cabaye, which was terrible. And then you've got players that, you know, were there and brilliant, Demba Ba, Papi Cisse, and Saud Bar and Cisse just looks half the player that he ever was. Especially when he was scoring with the outside of his boot from the left wing against Chelsea.
Exactly.
But, you know, he's brought some new players in. He's got Zaha back, or I don't know if Zaha was back before that, but he's got Zaha back. He's got Zaha back in the team. Got Zaha back in the team. And without really, I mean, you look at their three strikers, Gale, Campbell and Wickham. You know,
and Bamford.
Patrick Bamford. You've got four English strikers there, which I don't think are ever going to play for England or are ever going to score you 20 goals in a season.
No.
But they're scoring goals. They look a crazy threat. I mean, you've got Bakary Sakho as well, who proved last season he could score goals in the Championship. No, almost come from a bit of obscurity because he was playing for Wolves last season, but has turned up, looked a great asset to them, scoring goals, getting in great positions, scoring lucky goals against. Is it against you actually? Yeah.
Oh, probably. We're all lucky against
That was the one. It was the one where you actually did a bit of decent defending, whereas Azpilicueta got himself back.
Yeah, it was. He made the block and it fell kindly.
And he managed to kick it over.
Yeah.
Begovic.
Poor Begovic. Yeah, it's interesting really because actually you've got like towards the end of last season you had Balassi, where everyone was super excited about, and actually he's not really been doing anything this season. He did score on the weekend, and maybe that's a sign of things to come, which is actually quite worrying because they're already doing
set
quite
one up
well.
against you as well.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't like Balassi. No, actually, I do like Balassi. I think he's.
I quite like Palace because they're almost like a team of wild cards, like team of Mavericks, like the Mighty Ducks. Like you put them all together on one day, and they all come out good.
Well, actually, it's funny you were saying about inverted wingers and stuff. Actually, what's good about Palace is they've got a bunch of very good wingers, and they'll all just bomb.
They'll take you down to the byline.
Just keep going all day. And Zaha, as much as he seems like he possibly is a bit of a twat, he's a good player. He is a very.
Do you know him on
player.
a personal level then?
I don't know him on a personal level, but I get that impression from what I heard.
Yeah, right.
But he is a good player, and with sort of him coming into the team as well, they've just got bags and bags of pace and sort of like power.
It's also good. Like it does really show how much of a difference having a great player that's got a great eye like Cabaye in your team. Like how much of a difference is the strikers are like, someone's finding me.
Yeah.
Like I'm not just getting hopeful crosses booted into the box.
Yeah.
Which is all well and good. You've got someone that goes, if I run that channel, he's going to find me, etc. Or I'm going to get bowled over in the box and win a penalty and ruin my fantasy team because he's scored 2 and 2 and got an assist.
Yeah. No, I think of all the teams at the moment, you've got a few teams that not necessarily are overachieving, but are doing well basically. So you've got West Ham, I do think they're overachieving. Leicester, I think they're overachieving.
Will Leicester stop them? I mean, they managed to win it. They managed to win it weekend without even Mahrez in the team.
Yeah, I mean, actually, firstly, that was mental. I don't know what happened there. I don't know why you're dropping Mahrez.
Falling out with the boss, Tinkerman. The Tinkerman's come out again. That is some real tinkering to leave your best player.
Just to go, just to keep him out for an entire game.
Played quite well against Arsenal last week. Sit this one out.
Yeah. You can't argue with that, I suppose, because he won the game still. But I think they're too defensively. They ship way too many goals. And
no clean sheets this season.
As amazing as Mahrez has been, I don't think he's going to be. As soon as he has 2 games off, bad games, you'll lose Mahrez for a while until something happens to get him back.
Will Vardy keep scoring?
I would imagine. Vardy, I really like Vardy. I think he
epitomises a typical English player that's come from the lower leagues. Like almost like Ricky Lambert a couple of seasons ago. It was just kind of like, right, I'm going to fight till the end, and I'm going to do my utmost to get a goal in this game. Yeah. For my team.
I do. He is. I think he's probably going to be similar to Mahrez in that when it stops, it will stop for a while. Yeah. They're going to get to a certain point. They're going to get safe, basically.
I think that's always the one, isn't it? It was who was it? Who was it that did that? Was it Newcastle?
Newcastle have done it the last 2 seasons, but they've properly done it. But West Ham played really well at the start of last season and then ended up 13th. And I think West Ham will do similar. I actually still think Leicester will struggle because I do think they ship way too many goals, as good as they've been going forward. I think if that stops even slightly, then they'll be in real trouble. and I'm still not sold on Ranieri completely. Taking Morris out for an entire game is completely mental.
Well, considering we've been talking about relatively new managers there, let's move on to the manager merry-go-round, which has already started.
Yes,
I think was it a manager wasn't sacked until like at least Christmas or something last season,
Is that true?
and it's already started in October.
2 gone.
2 gone.
1 sacked.
1
resigned. Let's go quickly, make a quick point on Dick Advocat. I think we quite like the fact that he resigned.
Yeah,
Instead of got
Hart just
fired.
accepted that his heart wasn't in it.
Yeah.
Didn't want to be there. You know, although we, you know, signed 10 players in the summer and just thought, right, this isn't for me, I'll leave, rather than, you know, suffering, you know, weeks on end, not getting it right, and then come January, February, when it could almost be too late to turn it around. You know, turn it around. They do need someone like Sam Allardyce, I think. Someone that can come in and shore them up defensively and sort them out from the back and go, right, we're not going to score many goals, but we're not going to concede many. Let's see how we get on.
I think that has to be the way forward for them, because the trouble is they've got. You look at their squad; it's so bad. Like for a Premier League
didn't we do it the other day? We went through their squad and we picked an 11, and I picked like 7 or 8 players that I'd have released them from their contracts. I'd have paid them off,
in the start.
and they're playing. They've also got players like Jan and Villa, who, you know, 3 seasons ago Arsenal were meant to have bought him, meant to be this maverick young kid. He's got such a hot head. He's no good for it. You need Catamol is no good for a team like Sunderland. You need real cool characters up there, great temperament that can go, right, I've got this game. No one's getting past me, and I'm also not gonna be off the pitch after 70 minutes. Stupid things like that.
Yeah, well, yeah.
They also need a goal. They also need a goal scorer that can score 10 goals a season.
Yeah, I don't know what they.
Not keep buying Josie Altidor's worst replacement.
Well, I mean, Jermaine Defoe, I think, is actually like, you'd almost say he's perfect for them, but he's not scoring at the moment.
No. Well, it's probably no service.
Yeah,
they've got Jermaine Lons.
3, I think. 2
Jermaine Lons, he scored 4 or 5 goals already this season.
Got himself a red card.
Yeah.
I think whatever happens, they're really going to struggle. Sunderland fans have to know that they're in for a bad. I'm sure they do. They have to say, when this man, we don't want expansive football. We just want to stay in the league. So get organised and just make yourself a very hard.
Score more than 12 points in the season.
Yeah, exactly.
Was that their record low?
Is it 11? I think it was the lowest ever.
Was that Derby?
Got but I mean, you've got the defender they bought was Yunus Kabul, and I mean,
I don't get. Do you know what I don't get? I don't get managers. I can understand it with younger players, but I don't get people that buy players from teams that, like, especially up the league, that aren't playing, or teams in and around them, like Yunus Kabul. Spurs aren't that great, or, you know, they're a bit better now. They've got a good back line at the minute, actually.
Yeah.
But wasn't getting in the team last season when they had a load of ramshackle defenders, Fazio and Chiriches or whatever. Yeah, they didn't have good players last season, and Kabul wasn't getting in the team. How is he going to go and make Sunderland any better? Like, you're better off putting some money in a youngster and go, right, we've got rid of all the crap. We've got this nucleus of young players that are coming through. We've got a couple of older players. We've got, you know, Seb Larson, Wes Brown, you know, Catamol to an extent, Jermaine Defoe up top. Right, these are our nucleus. That's our spine. Let's get all these kids around you
and actually teach them
how to play football.
Teach them what to do. Yeah, well, I mean, that seems like the obvious thing to do, doesn't it? But
suppose neither of us are in the board meetings.
Well, sometimes you do feel like that they're almost doing it like you'd on a game. You'd go, oh, look, there's a guy who played for Tottenham. He'll come for fairly cheap. Like, he's got Premier League experience. Let's just get him in. And it's like, well, you never watched him play. Like, he shouldn't have been playing for Tottenham. Some players might. They just get. I don't know how they get.
Stephen Fletcher and Danny Graham up front.
I mean, yeah, Danny Graham. Bless Danny Graham. He's got a lot of goals for Sunderland.
Stephen Fletcher.
But yeah, I think
the man that can't kick anything with his right foot. I'm sure most days he probably just hops around on his left. His right foot is literally there, just to, like, support that one side of his body. to make sure he doesn't get overinflated muscles on his left.
Go around in circles.
Zoolander.
Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, I think we're saying Sunderland, you're in trouble. I think
They need a
everyone knows
defensive
that.
manager to tighten the ship
Yeah.
and hopefully get them out of trouble. Hopefully.
Yeah.
Uh,
But the big one is
which almost completely made everyone forget about Advocaat.
eclipsed.
Rodgers out.
Brendan Rodgers has been sacked by Liverpool. FC.
Fairly or unfairly?
Well, unfairly in terms of, I think most people are in agreement.
He wasn't
Why do it
doing
now?
that bad.
They haven't started the season that badly.
4 points off top 4.
I think he lost it at the end of last season when they did horrendously, and so the pressure was on for him to start really,
With a bang.
really well.
Yeah.
And it's not just that they've got points. It's not that they're not doing that, they're doing okay. It's they haven't played that well yet
No.
as well. So it's not like there's like, okay, we can see that something's building. At the moment, nothing's really building. So I can see it from that point of view. Maybe they were like, well, let's give them some money, and if they play well in the first 8 games, they haven't played well. But they have got points.
Four consecutive
So,
1-1 draws, I think.
yeah, and like, they sort of
Especially when them gets
day.
Carlisle and Sion as well.
Yeah. They're not playing well against teams that are well below them. So I can see why they've got rid of him. And it is a weird one because we don't know what's going on again behind the whole thing.
Transfer committee.
The transfer committee.
I don't understand teams that do this. Whether it's not Rodgers wanted it, but you look at teams like Spurs, sporting director there, Newcastle, sporting director up there. They're never buying the players that are good enough. So why are teams like, you look at the teams that have a manager and a chief executive, Arsenal, Man United, right? I mean, yeah, they've both bought flops over the years. That's well and truly said. But 8 out of 10 times, they get it right.
Yeah.
They're buying the right players. The only good thing I think with Klopp coming in is apparently he wants final say over all of that.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know if he's going to bring in some of his scouts, but you can't say it's Klopp. He's the one doing the deals and going, yeah, he's good enough to come in. But his team of scouts that he had at Dortmund,
obviously very, very good.
are finding your Gertzes, your Lewandowskis, your Gundogans, your Kagawas.
Well, that is to say if Klopp comes in, of course.
You probably know by the time this video comes out.
Yeah, it might be announced now. So, in your eyes, is he the right man for the job?
I think he's too good for them. It's almost like he's the level of manager Liverpool should be having.
Based on sort of Liverpool's history.
But I think Liverpool's squad isn't good enough for Klopp. There's too many flaws in that squad. There's some great players in that squad. Coutinho, Sturridge. I think Ings is quite a good player. I actually still rate Lucas in the middle of the park.
Oh, I don't rate Lucas.
Henderson is a good player. Milner's a solid player. Klein's a good right back. I think Moreno's actually quite good at left back.
I don't mind Moreno. I like Emre Can.
Yeah, but I don't think Chan should be playing at centre half.
No, he should be playing at defensive
I think
holding midfielder, really.
Sacco should be left in a box somewhere.
Yeah, I can't believe Sacco.
Just giving him a new 5-year deal. Outrageous.
Yeah.
How are people like this getting contracts? I don't get it.
know.
How do people still get contracts year after year? Skirtle's terrible. I can't believe they let Daniel Agger go. I thought Agger was great for them, especially for a ball-playing team. He's the only ball-playing centre-half that they had.
Yeah.
I don't know why Gomez playing centre-half for Charlton last season, and he came in, he started playing left-back. I don't think he did a bad job. No, he looked quite good against Arsenal, and has been dropped in favour for Sacco. Lovren's been a waste of money.
Yeah, I feel sorry for him with Lovren. Just on a side.
I still think Lovren was unfortunate to an extent. I still think Liverpool bought the wrong player. I still think Font is the one that makes that pairing so good, and he's still showing it. Font's crazy good. I'm almost surprised that no one went in for Font.
No, I'm amazed by that. So I think what you start to realise is that good defenders, usually partners, there's one good defender, and if he's really good, he makes the other person look good.
Koscielny and Mertesacker.
Well, yeah, and Company does it with pretty much every single player that he plays with, and Vidic used to do it, Ferdinand used to do it.
Terry's doing it with Cahill.
Yeah, and I don't think when he bought Lovren, people were going, "Don't buy Lovren, that's a terrible idea." So I feel for him a little bit that he sort of got caught out by that. Spent a load of money on a defender who just didn't work out, and then everyone's like, "Oh, you know, what was he thinking spending that money?" Because actually, I think, but Brendan Rodgers has got a very bad history of defence. So I doubt.
Was he useless at Swansea as well?
Yeah, he was pretty bad at Swansea. So I don't think he ever tried to, because he wants to play expansive.
Why do you not bring someone in? I mean, Arsene Wenger's, he finally bit the bullet. Got in Steve Bold as his assistant. Didn't really let him do anything for the first season.
Yeah.
Realised we were really rubbish at the back, and slowly changing. I think there's still differences in the zonal versus man marking situation, which I think we'd be better as a man marking team because we're crap at zonal.
Yeah, regardless of which one's better.
Yeah, we are really bad at that one. Yeah. Give the other one a go. But defensively, we've progressed, and I think that's where the biggest area where Arsenal have progressed, and Liverpool have shown zero signs of progression. They chop and change it. Even with the 3-5-2 formation, which I don't know whether it's their best formation or not.
No, yeah.
I mean, their problem is they've also got too many number 10s.
Yeah.
As well, like too many out and out number 10s. You've got the City situation where all of those players are good enough to play in those other positions, whereas Liverpool have got Coutinho, Firmino, Lallana, who really are through the middle players.
Yeah.
Lallana's really the only one that I would say, not seen enough of Firmino, that can play on the wing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well.
And where does Klopp go? Because Klopp doesn't play 3-5-2.
No, it would be very interesting.
Klopp plays
4-3-3. Does. I mean, for me, the most important thing would be to play Milner, Henderson, and Chan as your three midfielders. I just think you've got three. You can make yourself hard to beat, regardless of defence. Those three in midfield will work hard and will retain the ball well. I think Sturridge goes in, regardless of Benteke and how much they spent on him.
Yeah, but Benteke is more of a Klopp type of player, though. If you look at the two strikers he's had in Aubameyang and Lewandowski, they're more of a Klopp type of players. Taller players, good in the air, with a bit of pace. Not so much as an immobile type of Giroud type player, because Giroud is a little bit.
Mobley.
No, not quite. not immobile. But no, Giroud's not turning on a sixpence.
Yeah.
But someone a bit more mobile, and a bit more versatile, a bit more pace that can go both ways, almost. And then you've got your short, wide players. Your Gertzes, your Royces, your Kagawas, creating havoc.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is that for me, Klopp is kind of perfect to be there. I think what you're saying is right. They might not be quite good enough for him, but that means who is.
No, of course, no.
No one's.
Well, if you want progression, you've got to go out and get whilst you want to go and get the best players, you've got to get the best managers as well. Yeah. No, it's a right move. I mean, maybe mine's just a little bitterness because obviously I always had it in my head that Klopp would one day take over from Wenger because I just think I think he fits the Arsenal mould perfectly.
Yeah. Well, so if you look at Klopp's history, it's quite interesting because he started at Mainz and he was there for like 8 years. And he did really well with them. They were right on the brink of relegation into the League 3, I think, the third division in German football. And he kept them up, and then he was there for a couple of years, and then he promoted them to the top division. Yeah,
Bundesliga.
And then he kept them there for a little bit, and then he actually got them into Europe. So now you're thinking, this guy is a top manager. This is like progression at his best level. Then they got relegated, which, it's quite a big deal, really.
Is that Europe? Is that Europe doing that one though?
Maybe Europe's doing it, but you'd like to think if you've got a squad that can get into Europe, you've got a squad that can survive the top division regardless. And so anyway, he stays there. He almost gets them promoted, so he keeps them doing quite well, but they don't get promoted. He goes to Dortmund. Does amazingly well at Dortmund for the first, is it 3 years or 4 years? And
I think he was second in I'd be lying, but second in the first year, won the next two.
Yeah, and then
and then second again.
Second,
and
but
then
got to the Champions League final.
yeah, and then
the bad season. So what's interesting about it is that even though it's only 2 clubs, he looks like he's almost got this Mourinho thing about him, maybe a bit longer. That
got more longevity than Mourinho.
Yeah, he loses a bit of passion, maybe he loses a little bit of like sort of drive.
Would Liverpool take that though?
But
yeah,
that doesn't mean that that's not perfect for Liverpool at the moment, because what Liverpool are is a great team with not a great squad that want to be a great team again, and he fits the bill to bring them to that place.
Yeah, if he can put them on greatness level again and then leave after 4 years, not the cursed 5th year.
Yeah, but
say that.
Other managers have
you say
that
Dortmund's year was so terrible last season, but aren't they in the Europa League this season?
They're in Europa League.
Considering they're at bottom of the league,
yeah,
with no points after 20 games or something stupid. Yeah, he still got them into the Europa League. I don't know what that says about the German league, but
yeah, I know. I think you've got to really say how are Dortmund finishing 7th in the German league. That's like it's the equivalent of Chelsea finishing where we probably will finish this. But the other thing is that other managers have done that already. So Benitez took them to 2nd and a Champions League final, and then eventually left them when they finished 7th. Rodgers took them to 2nd and has left them when they finished 7th. So is Klopp really going to be any different? He's not going to provide the longevity that they are actually.
Is the club going to be able to provide him what he needs as well? Like, is Liverpool as a club going to give him what he needs? Because I also think there's got to be some level, like the Fenway Sports Group. There's something not quite right there. There's not a lot of love for Liverpool. It looks a bit more like a business engine as well.
Yeah.
Bad one that spent £300 million in 3 years on Rodgers.
Yeah.
And now they're gonna bring in Klopp, whose wages are going to be double what Rodgers are probably.
Yeah.
With a terrible buyout clause if they want to, or compensation package if they want to sack him. And so really he needs to get it right. But I suppose Klopp could be that man.
I think Klopp could be man. Just a quick word on Ancelotti, who is still in the running, I believe. Maybe.
Well, we'll find out.
But
Ancelotti's the made replacement, isn't he? He's done it. He's got
if you're looking from the longevity point of view, this guy wins trophies wherever he goes. The only thing you would say is he goes to the top clubs, and Liverpool aren't a top club at the moment. So, firstly, why would he take it? Really? Maybe he wants a challenge.
He's just had a rest from Real Madrid.
Well, yeah, exactly. And would he be able to take a team from down low and take them to the top, or is he just good at keeping?
It's the question that Mourinho's asked every season. Can Mourinho ever do that?
That's true.
And he's got to prove it now.
Well, yeah, I think Mourinho did do it to an extent when he came back to manage Chelsea.
Yeah, but then he spent £70 million on Fabregas and Costa.
Yeah, but he spent well, which very few managers do nowadays.
I will give you that.
Bit of defence.
Too many crap players around these days.
Yeah, there's too many overrated players, and there's too many young players who look like.
That's Liverpool's model as well, in buying overrated young players that they think they're going to be able to make a profit on.
A selling club. If you become a selling club, you're never going to get back to the top.
No.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah. We'll leave you there. We'll be back next week to give you a preview of all the Barclays Premier League games and all of Arsenal's injury list.
Until then,
have a good week.
I've actually stolen that from someone else. You can't use it.